Welcome back to the channel. My name is Soleil Rad, and if you're here for the first time, Men of Means is a community of men who are heart-centered, purpose-driven, and affluent. So if you're in the space, I welcome you. And today we're going to talk about how to stop being a people pleaser and how to stand in our power as men who are here to stand in our purpose and in our financial strength from a place of the heart, not from a place of force or manipulation. My name is Soleil Rad, and I am a leader of a spiritual community of affluent men called Men of Means. And the clients that I support are men who are looking for mass transformation through joy, through adventure, through stepping into their purpose and really becoming world changers. So today I would like to share with you some of the tools that I share with the men within my community, and these are tools that will help you stand stronger in your purpose as a man. You'll start to speak your truth in ways that are really empowering rather than challenging or coming across as threatening to other people. And I want to teach you how to play with this and be able to stand more and more in your truth, in your power, in your mission, in your vision, in a way that is heart centered and in a way that allows others to gather around you from a place of connection and community and joy, rather than from a place of bossiness and manipulativeness or hiding. So, I would like to first share with you a little bit about my background, how I got here, and then share with you these tips on how I stopped people pleasing and what that did for me in terms of my wealth, in terms of my purpose and satisfaction of my life. And I want to share with you some of the tips that are so easy to use. And when you start to use them, you'll start to realize how people pleasing was a thing of the past. Before we get there, I'd like to share with you that most men have been raised to be professional people pleasers. As we are born into homes where most of the time the father leaves the home to go to work and provide, and our mothers are our primary caretakers in the first usually 5 to 7 years of our lives, what starts to happen is we start to learn people pleasing behaviors from our mother. And we start to participate in people pleasing behaviors as a form of survival and as a form to get our needs met. There's many examples I have around this, but what I'd like to share with you is most of us have been taught that people pleasing is something that allows us to get our needs met. And yet we know that when we people please at the cost of our own truth, at the cost of our own dignity, at the cost of our own energy as men, what we are really doing is we're actually giving away our sovereignty, and we are starting to not be able to support ourselves and not be able to support others who we like to provide for because we're constantly spreading ourselves into the pleasure of others instead of learning how to hold our truth from a place of love, from a place of integrity, and from a place where others can start to see, wow, this man is not a people pleaser, and he's trustworthy, and he's heart centered, and he's enjoyable to be around. How is that possible? Most of us have grown through these type of behaviors, and in fact, these are four nervous system responses. And I have an entire course where I teach men about these four nervous system responses and how to identify them and how to not fall victim to a nervous system response when you are in the field of intensity. So, when we have an intense moment as human beings, our nervous system kicks in, right? And suddenly we have a nervous system response. And for most of human beings who are not trained in their nervous system, who don't have nervous system awareness and nervous system conditioning, when things happen that are uncertain in their lives, whether it's an opportunity that is an uncertain opportunity or a conflict that is uncertain, most human beings, their nervous system takes over and pulls them out of that circumstance because it's trying to save them from uncertainty. And we know that in the field of uncertainty exists possibility, potentiality, profitability. So, how can we have control over our nervous system so that when we're in the face of uncertainty or something that might look like conflict or deep intimacy with another human being, that our ability is to manage, maintain our nervous system and not allow it to shift us out of the circumstance against our own desire and our own will. Welcome to Men of Means. This is the type of information that we are here to share. And my name is Soleil Rad, and we have multiple other videos that you can also check out. And at this point would be an opportunity for you to click to subscribe to our channel if so far you felt a sense of connection and realizing that this channel is really here to support you and that there's a lot more that you can receive by being aware of when our videos come out. Click on it. And so with that, we're talking about how to prepare ourselves to hold high levels of tension as men and not respond to it in an unfavorable way. And one of those unfavorable ways that is very common for men is something called people pleasing. People pleasing is a nervous system response that most male humans, women as well, have, which gets them to submit in a way that is not intentional. These four nervous system responses, one of them is people pleasing. The scientific name for it is fawning. Fawning is one of the four nervous system responses, and fawning is otherwise known as people pleasing, being obsequious, being a kiss ass, surrendering falsely, but doing whatever you need to do to protect yourself. Because when our nervous system kicks in, it's trying to avoid uncertainty. So many human beings, they log into fawning, otherwise known as people pleasing, when they're in the face of adversity or uncertainty. The other three are freezing. We've heard about freezing, right? Fight, flight, freeze, fawn. But you never heard that before, right? Fawning, freezing, fighting, flighting. These are the four nervous system responses. And many of us have heard of fight or flight nervous systems. We learned about that in high school, where they said every human being biologically has a fight or flight system, yes? But there's two other mechanisms or responses that your nervous system is capable of producing. One of them is freeze, and the other is fawn, people pleasing. And I'll give you an example of each of these because when I share with you the examples, you'll start to see, wow, I realize where my nervous system is kicking in throughout my day as a man of ambition, as a guy who's a family man, as a man who's trying to drive myself and my family forward and do good for the world. I'm starting to see where my nervous system is actually controlling me or limiting my success. Take a deep breath with me if you like. I'm going to relax my nervous system. So what are these four nervous system responses? Fighting. Have you ever been in a situation with your wife, with your girlfriend, and suddenly she said something that really hurt your feelings or was offensive to you, and you got angry and you did something that you regretted, whether it was calling her a bad name or telling her to go F herself or you're nothing but a doot, 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 doot. That's a fight response. And we know that as men, that's not the best we can do. That's not really a conscious response to a situation. But when our nervous system kicks in and it's untrained, your nervous system says, let me attack this person who I perceive is bringing danger into my life. And so one of the things we're going to teach you at Men of Me is we have a video course about this, which helps you understand and identify each of these nervous system responses and then override them. And to override them so you can meet your intentions in every moment without getting sucked out of a situation to a response that's not conscious. So let's talk about an example of flighting. You ever been in an argument with a business partner or a uh, person of authority, or maybe your girlfriend, and you were arguing, and suddenly she said something that really triggered you, that really put you in a space of anger, but you didn't want to hurt her. You're not going to attack her or call her a bad name, because what you tell yourself is, no, I'm better than that. I'm not about to hurt anybody. But instead of standing there in your power, keeping your heart open, your nervous system kicked in and you did flight. And flight is when men, me included, when there's a nervous system response that's so high that there's something happening, you're getting angry or scared or sad. A lot of times we want to eject, we want to leave, want to get ourselves away from the danger. And many men do this without consciousness because their nervous system is telling them to leave, so they leave the house. Many of us had parents, fathers, who couldn't manage their nervous system. They couldn't manage the uh, uncertainty of their lives, the intensity of their lives. So they left the house, they left their wife, they left their kids behind, right? And so here, what we are remembering is that one of the ways in which we misbehave as men is due to our nervous system. That even if we have good intentions to connect with someone and do a good thing, sometimes our body behaves in ways that take us away from our hearts, from the moment, from really being conscious and saying, hey, let's figure this thing out. I'm not going to scream at you and cuss at you when you cuss at me. And I'm not going to leave either, because I really love you and I really appreciate you. And maybe I'm feeling a little scared right now, but I'm still here because I'm regulating my nervous system and I'm breathing. And I learned from Men of Means that this is a way that I can stand in the field of intensity and not eject and not fight you and see what's really here for us. Beautiful. So those are two examples of fight or flight. And then there's the freeze. You've always been in a situation where something really challenging happened and you couldn't breathe. You're like, what do I do? And a lot of men, when they go through an intense experience in their life, whether it's divorce or they have a breakup with a business partner or their finances are in trouble, a lot of men freeze because they don't want to do harm. And what they do instead is they isolate and they go into a space of no decision making. And we know that when we freeze as human beings, especially as men who are prosperous, are ambitious, we're trying to do good things in the world, we're here to make a difference in our lives, in our families. When we go into a nervous system response of freeze, what is happening is literally like our brain freezes and we're not capable of making sound choices that are based on reality, because our nervous system is trying to distance us from the perceived danger of that moment. So that's the third nervous system response. And finally, the fourth one, which is the most common for men around the world. And I know this because I teach thousands of men about this topic. And so often, more often than not, the man is very much a nervous system responder in the field of people pleasing. And so this is very common. I'll give you some examples of it. Have you ever had a circumstance where you came to work, you were working for someone, you were young, you come to work late and your boss screams and yells at your face and says, how dare you come to work late? What the F is wrong with you? What is wrong, right? Ever happened to you in a situation similar to that, where a person of authority really went hard on you and really tried to humiliate you? Most men in a circumstance like that, we respond and say, oh my God, I'm so sorry. Please forgive me. I'll never do that again. I love you. I'm so sorry. Forgive me. And that is an example of a people-pleasing fawn. A fawn is when you actually betraying yourself from the truth. What's the truth in this situation? The truth in this situation is, hey, listen, even though, yes, I'm late to work, I'm feeling angry at you for yelling at me. And I'm not going to say I'm sorry and beg you for mercy, because we're meeting each other as two human beings and we got to figure this out in a more mature way. So I'm not going to just say, excuse me, sorry, pardon me. I'm going to figure this out with you. Will you stop yelling at me? Thank you. So this fawning is a mechanism where most men are really people pleasing. And what it does to us over time is it diminishes our self worth. It diminishes our level of self confidence because if we're saying yes and please and sorry and forgive me all the time, even though some of the time we don't really mean it, we're just doing it because we want to get ourselves out of a conflict or we're trying to get ourselves out of a intense, intimate moment. So we people please. We get on our knees and we start to beg like good boys, asking our mommies, "Mommy, please give me some milk, please, please." Even though when we were a little boy, we could have been angry at our mom and said, "Hey, man, what the hell?" But we didn't. We learned how to be a beggar. Sorry, excuse me, give me some milk, please. And that information carries, those behaviors carry with us all the way into our adulthood, where when we are scared or when we feel fear, we start to get into a posture of submission. And the question I ask you is, how much is that costing you in terms of your money? Like, how much is it costing you to constantly people please and fawn others because you're afraid to really say the truth? And you're afraid that maybe it's going to hurt their feelings and maybe you're going to be seen as a jerk and all of these fears that we have. But let me share with you, brother, that there's a way to express your truth, which I can teach you in our men's course called The Man Inside. There's a way to share your truth so that the person receiving it is not going to get upset or angry or hurt you. And it's called being heart-centered in your truth. And I'm going to share with you in my video course how you can do that with such ease and grace that people are inspired. They're like, wow, I really appreciate that you said that, and I don't take it personally, right? So the opposite of people-pleasing does not mean you're an asshole. I'm going to say that again. The opposite of being a people pleaser does not equal asshole. In fact, there's a whole range of behaviors and personalities that you can embody and express the truth without people pleasing. And people will say, wow, thank you. That was, wow, thank you. That is also a possibility. And so, how often do you people please with women? With women that you approach a hot woman and then she says something and then you people please. And the people please could be something really small, like asking a stupid question, like, oh, so what's the weather like? How do you like the weather right now? And she's like, wait, why are you asking me about the weather if you're just trying to get to know me? And right there is a fawn. A fawn, a people please, is when you get a little bit intimate with someone or intense and you're scared and your nervous system is like, oh shit, this woman is really beautiful. What am I going to say? And then you say something that is so stupid and you're like, oh shit, why did I even say that? It happened to me many times before I started working on my nervous system. And when I started working on my nervous system, I stopped fawning and people pleasing and bullshitting. And sometimes I could just look at a woman eye to eye with no words spoken for over 2 minutes when I just met them. And yes, my nervous system starts to get a little wobbly and my heart rate goes up. And somewhere inside of me, I'm like, oh my God, I'm so scared in this moment. What am I going to say? But I have trained my nervous system to hold the field of intensity, intentionality, and intimacy. And in the field of intimacy, my brothers, is where connection is made, where possibility is born. And so if your nervous system is only capable of getting this close to possibility, and then it has to eject through a fight or a flight or a fawn or a freeze, you're only coming this close because your nervous system can't sustain high frequencies of energy. And once you learn these techniques that we're going to talk about in the men's course that we have, you'll start to come really close to miracles and be able to hold that space of intensity in every circumstance in your life, whether it's in business, when you speak to your customers and clients from a space of authenticity and not looking away or making stupid jokes, and you're telling your client, wow, I'm so honored and grateful that you are even considering me as a service provider for you. And I feel really shy to share this with you, but you're just the perfect type of client that I've been looking for. And I'm excited and a little scared to go on this journey with you, but I'm going to give it my absolute best. And I want you to call me out at every point when you think I can do better. We're in this together. Does that make sense, Mr. Client? And you're breathing. And your client is like, holy shift, man, this guy is really able to hold intimacy at such deep levels. And he's not fidgeting. Like you've seen people who fidget when you get close to them, salesmen who like can't hold it together, or you get close to a gorgeous woman and your body starts shaking. That's your nervous system. So when you start to train it, then you can be really intimate with people. And in that intimacy creates new business, creates new relationships, creates new sexual experiences where you would have otherwise ejected or fought or removed yourself, right? This is what the nervous system is about. And I would say I'm an expert in it, specifically designed for men. So what I want to share with you is how to use this information to really penetrate the field of your life's purpose. How do I prepare myself to go into the field of uncertainty and take my family, my employees, and my people forward with me and not eject when things get a little intense and uncertain, and not freeze and say, oh shit, I'm going to make a mistake. What do I do? I'm not going to do anything. And especially, I'm not going to fawn. Like when I know we should go left as a company, I'm going to say left. And I'm not going to like people please, because every time I people please, what I'm doing, check it out, what I'm doing is I am betraying myself. And you see, when I betray myself over and over and over and over again, what kind of a leader am I as a man? How am I able to provide for my friends, my family, my employees? How can I provide if I'm betraying myself? I'm not doing that. So we, as a community of men, of means, we are here to support you in this journey for you to stand more in your heart-centered, authentic expression. And we have hundreds of men who are a part of our community, and they're practicing these technologies with us, and they're reporting back of like, look, here's what happened when I did this at home. I'll give you an example. We have a man in our community who is a religious person, and he is a man of faith. And he's not one of those guys who's like a gung ho, like, Jesus, everything. He's like, man, I have faith. I want to be a better person. And I want to really bring good to the world. And he's very intelligent and he's so heart centered. He came into our community and he learned about these nervous system responses. And he posted in there and he said, guys, I realized that as a heart centered man of faith who's been married for so many years, there's so many times that I have broken my own truth. There's so many times I've betrayed myself with my wife, with my family, and at work. I've been betraying myself so many times. I didn't even realize it. And what he started to do is he went to his wife of many years and he shared radically honestly with her about all of the places that he had been out of integrity. And he mentioned that it is what saved his entire marriage. Now he's actually owning his truth, and his wife is celebrating him because she's always known when he's hiding, playing small. She's been waiting for him to own his shit. And now that he has, his relationship's been set on fire. Like it's more exciting, more connected, more celebrated. So this is the nervous system's role, is how can we prepare ourselves as men to be able to fulfill our life's purpose by also being aware of our nervous system and how it yanks us out of our highest expression. If you're liking this video so far, I would subscribe to this channel, because my goal is to give you these videos all the time. And my goal is for you to join us in our men's community. I'll drop a link below with all the information in it. So here are 3 things that I'd like to bring to you for this video. as tips on how to stop being a people pleaser. Number one, by having watched this video all the way to this point, it's likely that you are already letting go of a lot of people pleasing behaviors because you're realizing how it doesn't serve you and how it doesn't serve your family when you're betraying yourself. The second thing is the concept I want to introduce to you, something we teach within our men's community, and it's called holding the tension. And the tension is, how often are you in a situation as a man where there's tension? And how often during a tensious moment do you eject? And how often do you avoid? You pull out of the intensity, right? So what we talk about is this concept of holding the tension, really actually holding more tension instead of ejecting from the tension, which is what most men have been taught to do. Think about it. When we get sexually charged as men, the first thing we think about is, how do I release the tension? How do I eject or ejaculate so that I can receive the pleasure immediately? So we release tension very quickly. And when we learn how to use these tools that I teach, what's going to happen is you're going to start to learn how to hold the tension in bed, in the boardroom, with your customers and clients, and you're going to hold this tension from a space of connection and love. And what you're going to start to see is, wow, when I release the tension, I only get so much progress out of every moment or out of every engagement. But the more tension I'm able to hold, the more prosperity, the more resource comes out of every moment. Think about that. And this is an example I can give you is like, imagine approaching a woman. I don't know if you're single or married, but imagining you're single. Imagine you approach a woman and you say to her, I just want to say hi. My name is Soleil, and I'm feeling really shy in this moment because I looked at you and I thought to myself, I would love to meet you right now. And I felt scared to even come up to you. And as I'm breathing deeply in this moment, I'm realizing how grateful I am to have this connection with you. And I wanted to see if you're open to me asking you some questions about your life and yourself through a space of joy, right? And taking a deep breath. And inside of you, you're likely like, wow, how can somebody speak like that and hold such eye contact? But when your nervous system is prepared, you're able to start going deeper in connection with human beings. And instead of giggling and laughing or looking away all the time or saying a stupid joke, which is all considered fawning, what we do now is we hold the tension. And we start to hold the tension with the people in our lives, our family, our friends, and even with ourselves. Where am I ejecting from intentionality? And how can I be more in the intention of what I desire in life and not give up so easily? So these are the things we teach in our community. And holding the tension is such a great element, such a great tool you can use in every moment. How can I hold a little more tension? Number two, taking a deep breath and reminding your nervous system that you're safe. You're safe. And the more safe you start to feel in the field of tension, the more progress you can make. Think about it. A man who ejects from tension very quickly compared to a man who stands in the field of tension and he breathes. Who goes further in their lives, in their purpose, in their finances, in their relationship, right? The second guy. And third of all, the tip is holding eye contact. Can you hold 5 more seconds of eye contact than you usually would in any conversation? Whether it's with your mom, whether it's with your employee, whether it's with a grocery store attendant. Are you willing to hold 5 more seconds of eye tension? Because that gets your nervous system prepared and you're like, oh shit, I'm so scared. I can't do this. And every moment as you breathe, your nervous system starts to continue to expand. These are the tools I'd like to share with you today. I know that these tools can be used in your business, in the bedroom with your spouse. These tools can be used with your children. These tools can be used with your employees and your clients. How can I hold more tension with my clients from a space of love and connection? How can I hold more tension with my wife in bed instead of just jumping on her and, going for it? How can I slow it down a little bit and see what comes out of this intensity, out of this uncertain moment? This is called holding the tension. And I hope that already you're following our channel and watching my other videos and commenting and sharing what your feedback is, because we're just getting started in sharing this information. We also have a video course that you can opt into, and our men's community, which we can do together. And I'll leave links for that as well. Give me your comments. I look forward to my next video. God bless. Thank you.